If you've recently heard those two dreadful words, "I want a divorce," I truly sympathize with you. However, not all is lost yet, and very often a divorce can be prevented. Or even if it can't be stopped and you have to get divorced, it's still possible to save the relationship. In this video, I will tell you about the 6 most important rules you need to know to give yourself the best possible chance to fight for this relationship and save it. As some consolation, I'll also add that if you succeed, you have a chance for your relationship to get a complete reset, and things between you can be as beautiful as when you first met. My name is Robert Marshall. I've been giving advice on male-female relationships since 2008. Now, together with our team of psychologists, we help save relationships that are going through a breakup or even after a breakup has already happened. And today I will share with you my truly extensive experience. The first of the 6 rules I'll talk about today is that you should stop trying at all costs to physically prevent the divorce, because you shouldn't be focused on the status of whether you're officially married or not. What you should care about is being with that person. You should care about the feelings and the relationship with that person, not necessarily about the formal status, because very often the divorce is already really close to happening. Very often, the more you fight against the divorce, the more you try to defend yourself with all your might, just to formally keep that status, the worse it turns out. So we need to separate these two things. In reality, when trying to stop a divorce, it's more important to fight for that person's feelings, to fight for love, for the relationship itself, rather than just for the status. So this is actually a huge difference, because some people have this panic fear that once the divorce happens, it's all over and we'll never be together again. Meanwhile, it's actually the exact opposite. Often, you actually need to get the divorce over with as quickly as possible, as painlessly as possible, and with as little hostility as possible, so that later you can calmly rebuild the relationship from scratch. Rule number 2, stop trying to logically convince your partner of anything. Don't ask for another chance. Don't say that you'll change, because the decision to divorce isn't logical, it's emotional. Your husband or wife decided to take such an extremely uncomfortable step, even for themselves, because they had simply had enough, but on an emotional level because those feelings had faded. Just as you can't tell yourself to start loving someone or to stop loving someone, the same goes for your partner. Promising that you'll change or trying to convince someone to give you one more chance won't improve that person's emotional state. But it can actually make things worse because it's exhausting. That person doesn't want to talk about it anymore. The decision has already been made, and now it's really hard for them to keep coming back to this topic. That person will actually start to feel pressured. They might start avoiding contact with you if you keep bringing it up. So don't try to convince them. It's high time you start appealing to that person's emotions instead. Rule number 3, you need to start influencing your husband's or wife's emotions. And the simplest and really the only way to do this, which I've clearly seen over my many years of experience, is to become a challenge for that person. In other words, you have to do exactly the opposite of what your intuition tells you. Instead of asking and begging for another chance, you need to show that you no longer care, that you're a strong, independent individual, that you've come to terms with the divorce, and that now it's the other person who has to make an effort to win you back. And I know this feels very counterintuitive. This might go against everything your mind is telling you, even against what your friends are saying. But this is the only thing that works. And it's confirmed by hundreds of success stories from our clients, which you can see for yourself on the Institute Zvonskov website. But why is this so counterintuitive? Because now, when you've found out that your husband or wife wants a divorce, your brain is in a state of being in love. So when the other side tells you something like that, even if there was a lot of hostility from your side before, even if you yourself had previously wondered whether you wanted a divorce or not, maybe to break up because things weren't so great, but the moment the other side distanced themselves from you, they became a huge challenge for you. You have this overwhelming sense of loss. Now you want to chase. That's exactly how it works. So the other side has pulled away. You chase and want to keep chasing. Your brain tells you that you should call, you should text, you should ask, beg, confess your love, and so on, because that's how we act when we're in love. That's how our brain works. That's what we're drawn to. And that's great, because if you're in love and the other person is in love too, then it's wonderful that you're both drawn to each other. However, in this situation, it's one-sided infatuation, a huge sense of loss, the impact of that kind of infatuation, a revival of feelings on your side. See, it's already happened and now you want to chase. But you also have to do it the other way around. So if you chase and push and there's pressure, the other person doesn't want anything from you, you kill those feelings. You have to do exactly the opposite. So you take 2 steps back, you show that you no longer love, that you no longer want to get back together, that it's fine if you get divorced. There's no problem with that, but at the same time, you keep in touch, you show that you understand your mistakes, you remove logical obstacles and so on. So that's exactly what reviving feelings in the other person is about. Not by begging, but quite the opposite, by showing anti-desperation, by demonstrating strength, attractiveness, and self-confidence. because that's what will actually attract the other person. And until you become a challenge, until you convince that person that now they have to make an effort for you, those feelings won't have a chance to come back to life. You could talk for hours just about the topic of being a challenge. I talk about this in other videos on this channel, but now let's move on to rule number 4. Prepare yourself for the fact that you might really break up and perhaps never get back together. So don't put all your eggs in one basket thinking it will definitely work out, because it might not. So be careful to protect yourself legally, secure your finances, and settle all matters related to raising children, if you have any, or to dividing property. Here, it's best to do this as gently and with as little hostility as possible, so as not to close off the possibility of getting back together. At the same time, don't make yourself vulnerable or show that, okay, you take everything, I'll give you everything just to win you back, because that's a huge mistake. Paradoxically, this will also undermine your frame of being a challenge and will only push you further away from your goal. So, on one hand, be kind, gentle, and treat this person fairly, but on the other hand, don't just give them everything simply because you want to win them back. Also stand up for yourself a bit, because it's possible that you may never get back together. Rule number 5. Try to give yourself more time, but don't deliberately drag out the divorce. That means if you hear that your husband or wife wants to break up with you, say, okay, I accept it, because in fact you really don't have any other choice. You can't force this person to stay with you. At most, you can drag out the divorce indefinitely. However, you can try to buy yourself some time by saying something like, listen, you know what? This was very emotional for me. I'm willing to go through this with you, preferably in a single hearing. The sooner, the shorter, basically, the better. Just please give me a little time now so I can sleep on it and calm down. I don't want to make any really heavy decisions right now. For now, I need to get my emotions under control, and then soon we'll come back to this topic. So you can try to delay things so that the divorce doesn't happen at the earliest possible date, but at the same time don't say no, that there definitely won't be a divorce, that you'll never agree to it, and so on. That kind of fight is pointless in this regard. Rule number 6. Give yourself time. Here, paradoxically, even if you don't have much time, because the hearing is just around the corner, maybe in a week, a month, or 3 months, so it's relatively soon and the divorce may seem inevitable. The worst thing you can do is to force things here, trying to speed things up. The harder you push, the more pressure you apply, the more uncertainty there is in you and in your actions, the less attractive you will be and the lower your chances of winning this person back. So really accept that this divorce might happen. It's not the most important thing. And what's interesting is that even if this time comes to an end and the divorce happens, a certain kind of pressure will be lifted from you. Sometimes this is also a phenomenon I observe when advising my clients. When the divorce is really very close, I don't know, a week or 2 away, it's hard for anything to move forward between you at that point, because it's so soon that it feels a bit awkward to call off the case, so it's almost at a standstill. However, once the hearing takes place and everything is over, there's nothing left to call off, nothing hanging over your heads anymore. That's when you can freely start contacting each other again. You can meet up, you can call each other and continue to develop that relationship after the divorce without the pressure of any deadlines or feeling like you're in a rush. So get rid of that time pressure, that deadline from your mind, because there's nothing you need to call off. On the contrary, later on, it might even be better because you could have a second wedding and another reason to celebrate. So really, don't worry about it. Just give yourself time for this. And of course, I realize that this waiting period isn't easy, and putting this strategy into practice is not a simple matter. I myself have refined this system over the past several years, which is why I now invite you to take advantage of the help we offer at the Institute of Psychology and Relationships, where together with our psychologists, we advise on what to do in situations where only one person is trying to save the relationship and the other person is withdrawn. They openly say that they no longer love you and don't want anything from you. We have a system, we have a method to save a relationship even in such a situation. So I invite you to take advantage of a first free consultation, during which we will check whether in your specific situation we can still help you and whether you qualify for our program. Go to the website right now. You'll find the link below. Thank you and see you soon. Robert Marchell, Institute of Relationships,